Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. We've gathered here today to talk about the union of a budget standard format and a yet to be seen Innistrad Crimson Vow set. Well, I guess that's not entirely true. It hasn't been released, it has been seen. And folks, I'm here to tell you, this is not a match made in heaven. And even though it's a vampire set, I won't go so far as to say it sucks. But the good news is few and far between. So stay tuned and let's talk about it. But before we get into all that, what do you say we do the awkward thing and promote the channel? You see, I've set a goal of 1,000 subs by September of this year, and we've still got a long way to go. But what I realize is no matter how much content I put out or how good I think it is, I can't reach this goal without you. So take this opportunity to subscribe to the channel. And if you don't feel like you can subscribe yet, leave me a comment down below and let me know why so I can try and address your concern. So all in all, I do think Jumpstart Standard is a fantastic idea. It is a limited card pool, so I recommend you start tracking the rares that are available through the jump in and how many of those rares you have, because you're never going to get a rare that's not available in the set. I know that seems really obvious, but don't let that fact escape you. You're never going to open a rare dual land by doing jump in. It's just not going to happen. And of course, the more of those cards that you have, the less likely you are to get that same. So I think one of the best parts of the new Crimson Vow set is Wizards' approach to midweek Magic on a release week. See, for quite some time, I'd say at least the last 6 months, they've kind of struggled with what should be the midweek format right after a new set comes out, because they want to encourage people to play with new cards, but they also have this obligation and consistency around midweek Magic. They've even tried play anything or just ignoring it for a week, and it hasn't really worked very well to drive the arena system the way they've wanted to. But I think with what they're doing here with the Crimson Vow is great. They are putting out a 0 entry fee Phantom quick draft. So it definitely builds the consistency of that midweek Magic that we want to encourage players every week. It also answers the solution of allowing people to play with new cards, even though maybe they're budget players and they don't have any of the new cards. I'm a little disappointed in the fact that it's a Phantom draft. Honestly, Wizards, I think you could give every player on Arena a free quick draft as part of midweek Magic the first week. Stop being chintzy. You're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Give the people what they want. In the long run, it'll drive your business. Now, with that having been said, we will go into greater details about how to approach this event in a separate video. But for now, I think this style of midweek Magic during a release week is the way to go. So good job, Wizards. I think you're on the right track here. And there's no better way to follow up a win but with another win. And I think the arena concept of jump into standard has been phenomenal. I hope this is something that Wizards continues forever. I can't see any reason they'd want to do away with this. And they're doing the right thing. They're keeping it fresh. They're bringing out, I believe it was 10 new decks. At the time of recording, I haven't seen those decks yet. But this is the direction you want to be taking. It's very budget friendly. It exposes people to the new set with a low cost of entry. Really a win here, and I hope it's something that we continue to see through Crimson Vow, not only through the remainder of this year, but for the foreseeable future, guys. Good job. Keep that up. And if you haven't done Jump In as a player, definitely look into it, particularly now with Crimson Vow coming out and us having a few more deck options. But now we have to talk about the actual cards of Crimson Vow. And while there's some fantastic cards in this set, particularly in the rare and mythic stats, we got the rare dual lands we were looking for. But from a budget perspective, there's just not a lot to fall in love with here. And I'm not particularly married to this set, but bump. One of the highlights here is Child of the Pack, a 4-drop for werewolves. A werewolf aggro deck. I'm not seeing wanting a lot of 4-drops, but a 4-drop that is a mana sink is something that it is somewhat inspiring. We're probably going to want 1 or 2 copies of this in werewolves when we get around to building it. Which honestly, I'm probably not looking to do this budget year. I will probably be looking at this deck much more solidly come next fall. And while Innistrad is a very tribal friendly set, we just can't talk about Crimson Vow without talking about vampires. I almost certainly think that mono red vampires is going to be a deck. Is it better than mono red goblins from a budget perspective? Not right now, at least in my opinion. I do think it is at the forefront of what the mono red deck will probably look for next budget year. But this year, I still think goblins is the way to go. And right now, I'm not entirely sure that the mono red vampires deck can even be a budget deck, because it will almost certainly be built around this card, Bloodthirsty Adversary, which, as you can see, is unfortunately mythic. But a 2/2 haste vampire is pretty solid, and the fact that you can do more with that is pretty good. Whether you'll ever have the mana to do that, I don't know. At least not in a mono red rush deck. It's all very questionable at this time. But certainly your red vampires are things you want to pick up in the meantime, because even if it's not until next year, you will almost certainly be glad to have them. And as you can see, Budget Vampires picks up a lot here with 4 commons and 1 uncommon in red vampires. So the good news is there's a lot to pick up, and also you have plenty of time to do it. This is not something that you need to rush right out and do. It is probably not the budget deck to be building right now. So get those as you can. Once you start opening packs, they should be very easy to fill in. Not a reason to rush to draft this set, in my opinion. Now, the one card that I think may be a budget highlight for Crimson Vow is the Reclusive Taxidermist, a 2 mana 1/2. Gets +3/+2 as long as there are 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, which is really not hard to do in current standard. And regardless of that caveat, it taps for 1 mana of any color. So you could very easily have a 4/4 for 2 here in the right deck. Also, the fact that it can tap for mana of any color makes any 3-color green-based deck a very budget-accessible reality. And that's worth keeping an eye on. I'm not sure we have a 3-color green deck, but with werewolves very solidly seated in green, humans very solidly seated in green, and our +1 matters being a green-black deck, it is conceivable that we're going to want to build a 3-color deck this year. and this is the one that makes that a budget possibility. So definitely keep an eye out for those cards. If you get the chance to pick those up, certainly. But again, at this point, without a deck, I'm not sure that this is a reason to rush in and start drafting this set. So as you have probably put together, this new set is my lowest draft priority from a budget perspective. I'm not looking to do any drafts of this set during its initial 2 weeks, starting around, let me see here, I think it'll be the 26th of November. If you're looking to do limited during those 2 weeks, I would say jump in is a better option. Particularly when we get to do a phantom draft on this on November 16th. So those two things together hopefully will kind of scratch your limited itch while still allowing you to pile those resources in a more budget-friendly manner. The gold that I earned during those 2 weeks, I will be using to draft things like Zendikar and Strixhaven, which are still some of my highest draft priorities. And of course, if you haven't finished out your Goblins deck, that D&D inspired Adventures in the Forgotten Realms set should remain a budget priority as well. So I hope this video finds you well. I hope you enjoyed the set as much as I enjoyed talking about it. But until next time, guys, I'll see you in the arena. All right, so with all that having been said, don't forget, smash the like button like Hulk would. And of course, comment and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And one last thing, myself, I'm coming to you from America, and I have noticed that about 1/3 of my viewership is coming from the US. And about 1/3 is coming from various countries. And there's about 1/3 of my viewership that is just getting lumped into other. So to let me know you got to the end of the video, throw me a comment down in there and let me know where you are watching from.